What's up, guys? I'm Koby, and this is At the Altar. My wife, Sarah, and I started this podcast with a mission to help lead young people like ourselves into a life surrendered at the feet of Jesus.
We're so excited you're joining us in today's episode. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, follow, and turn on notifications to stay updated on our weekly episodes.
Thank you for the support. Jesus loves you, and so do we.
Open up by picking your nose.
This is At the Altar.
Ooh,
that was cool. There we go. Hi, Sarah.
Hi. Sorry, I just bumped the microphone.
I called Kason, our youngest son, who has also been our biggest baby.
Yeah, 9 pounds, 10 ounces.
I called him Biscuits today, and I think that is his new nickname.
Yeah, I think that one will stick. We've been trying to figure out a little nickname for him.
Because we call him, his name's Kason. We call him Case, which is great. And it's like, I love the way Keegan says Case.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, Taith.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's cute.
Well, welcome, guys. My name's Koby. This is Sarah, as you guys know.
Hello.
Today, we're going to be sharing just kind of everything about us. We're just,
everything
not
about us,
everything,
guys.
but the big rocks, the big things that we feel like we bring value to the table, and just kind of our testimony and how, you know, God's been working in our life together since day one.
Mm-hmm. And shown us his faithfulness throughout the past 5-10 years. Yeah, we're super excited to do this and to do this together. This is just an opportunity that we've been praying about, and God's finally opened the door, and so we're just pumped to do it together.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'll start us off. I'll start like when we started dating, and then I'll transition it to you in marriage. Does that sound good?
Okay, go for it.
Okay. So I met Sarah at a very young age. We met in like middle school, but we actually didn't start dating till our freshman year of high school. So that would have been, we were age 15. And Sarah's my first girlfriend, first kiss, all that stuff. I mean, there was one or two like girlfriends, but you were the first. Like, yeah. So we dated all throughout high school. We didn't ever take any breaks. In that, you know, neither one of us are really actively pursuing Jesus. You know, our lives weren't in full submission to him. We weren't at the altar. That's the name of our podcast, At the Altar. Our goal is to always be at the altar, at the feet of Jesus. And that wasn't the case for the first 3 or 4 years of our relationship.
Mm-hmm. I had grown up Christian and knowing and loving Jesus, but kind of fell away from my faith, middle school, high school. So I was not, actively pursuing him.
Yeah.
At all.
So at the beginning of our relationship, without either one of us really having a guide for how to treat each other and how to serve each other outside of the world's perspective on things, obviously we weren't, I didn't do anything that would get me in jail, and vice versa. Like, we weren't crazy like that.
We're just immature.
We were just
Stupid
immature,
fights.
silly kids. Like, I just want to clarify that because there could be assumptions there. I mean, I would assume that if I was listening. Anyways, I'm tangenting. We dated all throughout high school. We got engaged very young. We were 18 when we got engaged.
We were 19
We
when
were
we got
19
engaged,
when we
babe.
got engaged. Podcasting is hard, Sarah. I'm sorry.
It's hard. Get your dates right, babe. Come on.
I
19 when
know.
we got engaged.
Married at 20.
Married at 20.
And this is where I'm going to hand it to you.
Oh, okay. Pregnant at 20, a month later. So we got pregnant with our first baby a month after we got married. So, which means that is our honeymoon baby. So that's fun. So that was not expected. We weren't going to really try having kids until we were like 23. We wanted to wait a few years until we, maybe had a bigger space or had more of our career kind of figured out a little bit. And because that's what the world tells you is like, before you start having kids, have XYZ figured out. And so that's kind of what we were going towards. So we found out we were pregnant. And did we say, by the way, that by the time we got married, we were pursuing Jesus.
Yeah.
Like right after we graduated, we both like full on started pursuing Jesus, and he became a huge part of our lives. Our faith was like the center of everything. Did we say that? Or did you say that?
So that's a good clarifying. Yeah, so I committed my life and got baptized at 18 in high school, right before graduation, like a couple months before. And then you had made that same step right out of high school with Anna. And I think I can speak for both of us, like from being baptized, that was kind of the moment when our trajectory changed, when we started making decisions that were more inclined with following the Lord and trying to live out a life that is emulating the way Jesus lived.
Yeah.
Both in the way we lived our day to day, and then also, almost more importantly, the way we treated our marriage. So that's what I would say for that. And thank you for clarifying.
Because we were walking into marriage with our faith was like number one. But yeah, just how you were saying, it wasn't before, but we'd really like turned our lives around and just really surrendered our lives to the Lord at that point. So back to a month after we got married, we find out we're pregnant, which again, super unexpected, but of course we were happy and excited because babies are such a blessing. And so we were just excited to become parents. And so we had a healthy pregnancy. Up until about 12 weeks, we ended up miscarrying. I had a silent miscarriage. So that's where your body doesn't recognize that the baby had passed and had stopped growing. So we found out that, I was miscarrying at my 12-week appointment, which was, let's just dive right into that, I guess, because that was like the start of a lot. What am I trying to say? That was like the start of, at least for me, my faith really relying on Jesus. Like, I had to really, really just surrender everything to the Lord at that point, because that was so hard to walk through at 12 weeks pregnant. So do you want to talk about how you were feeling about that or anything? Because we were only married for 3 months, right?
Yeah.
July, August.
We were married for like 2 months.
It was like 3 when I miscarried, though, because August, September, October, like 20th is when we lost our baby. Because we were just new into marriage, so to go through something like this right after you get married was definitely...
It was a learning curve for me, because I didn't know. I mean, obviously being only 21 years old, I had no... I hadn't really experienced grief like that, where it's like, and even on top of that, it's like, as a man, I didn't have the little flutters, I didn't have the Doppler on my stomach, right? Obviously, so just in like a connective way, like my body wasn't changing where yours was changing, so you had a real understanding of like, there's a baby in me.
Yeah, and it wasn't an early miscarriage. It was at 12 weeks, which I guess is early-ish. Which, even if you had a miscarriage at 6 weeks or earlier, it can be just as hard as a 12-week or whatever. That's not what I'm saying. But like, we had been pregnant for a little bit, Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, understanding how to support you, and then as well as grieve myself, of like, because I didn't know what it was to be a dad. Like, I don't know what to expect.
You were just learning how to be a husband. I was just learning how to be a wife.
Barely a husband, yeah. So it's like, for that, I had no understanding of the level of love until we're in that hospital room and they said that we had lost him.
Yeah, and
I was like, you begin to weep, And I just am sitting there and like, is this real life? Like, is this like, I'm just dazed and confused. And then we just embrace each other. We just have like the longest, it felt like an eternity of a hug.
Yeah.
And we're just crying together. And like, I think about now in hindsight, like Jesus is near the brokenhearted. And I think about like Lazarus, when Lazarus died, Mary and Martha are like begging him to come, and he weeps with them.
Yeah.
And he wasn't in a rush because he knew that he was on the other side of life. Like Lazarus wasn't gone. Jesus knew the plan. And I think there's like that same way, like we were grieving in that moment, but on the other side of that today, there's so much fruit. Like as hard as it was to go through a miscarriage and lose our first child, Jesus saw like the benefit of him, and like he's now
he
in
definitely,
eternity.
looking back now, to add to my older sister, both my older sisters were pregnant as well. Right after I miscarried, my older sister Anna found out she was pregnant like 2 days later. And then my other sister, Marcy, which they're fine with me saying their names, was pregnant the exact same time I was. And so I had to go through the next few months watching them be pregnant, and I had to deal with that, and that was really, really hard. And that's when I really had to like ask the Lord, like, why me? Why is this happening to us? Why did you take our baby? And they have a healthy pregnancy, and there's a lot of like comparison there and jealousy, and there was a lot of hurt. And for a few months I was in a pretty dark place of just, it was really, really hard. And you had to, as a new husband, watch me go through that, and like support me. Not saying you didn't grieve, because you definitely did in your own way, but you had to support me in a way that you were just learning. And I remember you would just like hold me. I would just cry at night, and you would just hold me, and we really just had to surrender that whole situation to God. And so my faith, I will say though, that whole situation, looking back now 5 years later, of course I wouldn't want to walk through it again, but I'm so glad we did, because of what God has taught us through it, just the relying on him and surrendering every situation to him. It grew my faith so much.
I would say it also gave us a perspective of, like in the Psalms when it says you're beautifully and wonderfully made in your mother's womb. Like from day one of the beginning of conception, like God has an amazing plan and purpose for every single life. And even our unborn son who was miscarried, he had a plan and purpose. And obviously we didn't get to ever meet him on earth, like in flesh and human ways, like in that way. But you know what I'm saying? It's a heavy subject.
No, it is very heavy.
But just like it gave, and now I'll say this because this is what I'm thinking in my head, is like now the way we speak and are training up our 3 children that are here, Lainey, Keegan, and Kaysen. Our first son, and the grief we went through, that has given me a system in place to the way I treat and look at my own kids. Does that make sense? Like, well, he's my son too, but like the ones that are here, I'm tangenting, but I'm trying to get my thoughts out.
Yeah. Do you just mean like?
I mean like the idea of beautifully, wonderfully made with a purpose and intention. Like the Lord.
It makes you value them more after going through a miscarriage?
I would say it gave me a joy and excitement to look forward to into fatherhood that I didn't know.
Yeah.
You know?
No, yeah, definitely. So after we lost our first baby.
Like it gave me
It gave us a desire that we didn't
That's
know
what I
we
was looking
wanted.
for. That's the word.
Desire, yeah.
Thank you.
It gave us the desire of, okay, no, we do want to become parents, and we didn't. What am I trying to say? We're both like, what am I trying to say? This is 5 years ago, so this is a long time.
And it's a heavy subject, and we want to obviously not go about it lightly. So
no, it's definitely really hard. So let's just, I guess, move on to, so my sisters are pregnant now, and we had lost our baby, and our church, Cedar Park, was doing a service called Presentation Sunday. They do it every year, once a year. And it's a service where they basically get to come together as a congregation, and you pray over couples who are struggling with infertility, or if you've gone through a miscarriage, or if you just desire a child, a healthy pregnancy, you can get prayed for. You can go up to the altar and just get prayed for, and people just rally around you, and they just come together as a church and they pray for you. And so Koby and I decided to do that, go up to the altar and get prayed for. What was this?
January.
A few months later. And we got prayed for. And then the next month we ended up getting pregnant with our daughter Lainey, which was amazing. Even just God answering that prayer of getting us pregnant the next month. I'm just so thankful for that we were able to conceive again, and I don't take that lightly at all. We don't, because I know it can be harder sometimes for couples, and I can't even imagine. So we don't take that lightly at all, that the Lord has gave us another baby super quick.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say, going into Lainey's pregnancy, that was also very hard, because when you go through a miscarriage, especially a silent miscarriage at 12 weeks, you can kind of, I was traumatized. I mean, the way we miscarried and everything, I was pretty traumatized from that whole situation. So when we did get pregnant with Lainey, I had to really surrender her to the Lord and just say, you know what, Lord, she's your child before she's mine. And I'm just going to pray for a healthy pregnancy. And, we go to appointment after appointment, and each time they would find a heartbeat, and I would always kind of just get through the next appointment. Like, just get us through this appointment. Please find a heartbeat. Okay. Found the heartbeat. Then I'd really have to surrender it to the Lord. And
it wasn't until like the 20-week scan where you got like peace.
Yeah. I was so scared. And yes, it was a huge faith builder. I had to just really rely again on Jesus of whatever happens. I know you have my best, your best intentions. Like it's your plan, not mine. And so, yeah.
Before we go too far, can I add, when we were praying for Lainey, like Presentation Sunday at Cedar Park, they have the couples come to the altar, and then the people surround you and just lay hands on you and be praying. And for me, that was probably my first ever like Holy Spirit encounter with God, like feeling just the overwhelming presence of love and support, and knowing that like Jesus has a plan for us. He has a plan that's so much better than anything that we had in mind. Like I think back to the way I was thinking back then in 2021 or 2022, and like I just had no idea how good life would be today.
Yeah.
And I had no gauge for like how much love and support God gives us, and having it be at the altar where I felt.
Like physically felt too, because people were like laying hands on us. And
Yeah, and it's just like, I mean, it sounds weird to explain, but like just like the hands on your back feeling like hot to the touch.
yeah,
Like it just like
it was
a moment.
beautiful.
And I was just weeping. Like I've never cried like that, I don't think. And this is, I mean, obviously still in a grief state because we're now trying to have a baby, you know?
Yeah,
We'd gone from
a couple months later.
accidentally getting pregnant to now this is something we really do desire.
Yeah.
Regardless of any financial situation, any excuse the world could come up with of why not to have a baby, we were like, put it all aside. This is what we want. And we know that God's got us within that. And he has.
Yeah.
Like if there's advice I have for anybody, it's like you look at the family that has 10 kids in a Sprinter van, they always have a way to feed all 10 kids.
Yeah, the Lord
Like,
always provides.
God always provides. And
Mhm.
I'm not saying go out and have 10 kids. If you don't have 10 kids, you don't have to. But you would have 10 amazing blessings if you did. And life is just so much joyful with kids. So I just wanted to add that like
No, that's
being at
great.
the altar,
Mm-hmm.
being prayed for, like it's something that like for me, not growing up in like an Assemblies of God charismatic church, like believing in the gifts, doing all that, I had no understanding of, you know, the presence of God like that.
Yeah.
So experiencing it was both amazing and uncomfortable at first. Like I had to step out to get to the altar in order to get there,
Yeah.
you know?
No, I love that Cedar Park does that service. I think it's so beautiful, and that's amazing. So let's go to so pregnant with Lainey, 20-week scan with her. Everything was good, and we got through that pregnancy. She was completely healthy. And now I guess we'll go into Lainey's birth. So Lainey's whole pregnancy, my prayer was, God, show me your faithfulness through our daughter. Like, just show me, please just show me your faithfulness. I just prayed that. I prayed that over my belly. I would just pray that over her like every night. That was just kind of the prayer I clung on to. And so Lainey's birth, that's a whole story, but we'll kind of share it. But
You can give them the spark notes.
Spark notes, yeah. So I get induced with Lainey at 39 weeks because my blood pressure was really high. I was on the verge of like preeclampsia. So they induced me, and everything about her labor was great. It was our first, my first, obviously, labor, and everything was good. It was only, by the time I got induced from the time she actually came was maybe like 18 hours. But like for your first baby, that's not terrible. And I was not pushing a long time. I only pushed for about 2.5 hours. So I know you're like, what is even? But that's actually, for your first baby, that's decent, I'm pretty sure. And I got the epidural, so stop looking at me like that.
You're awesome.
I'm just giving deets,
The details.
the details people want to know.
The guys are going to be like, okay.
What does that mean? 2 hours? He's like, you push for 2 hours? Not consistently, but contractions, and then you get a break, and then contractions. So, and I did have an epidural, so that was great. I'm an epidural girl, like through and through. Okay, now I'm tangenting. Okay, so her labor was great. I pushed for about 2.5 hours, and we get to the end, and everything is going really good. And then my very last push, everything like talking about it brings back a lot of emotions, I feel like, because it was just so, again, traumatic. And I'm not even saying that lightly, like traumatic. So I'm pushing, and the doctor looks at me, and she says, you need to, her head stuck or her shoulder stuck. We need to get her out. Like, you need to push hard. And in that moment, I'm pushing, and like 40, I kid you not, like 20 to 40, maybe it wasn't that many, nurses rush in the room. They like slam me down on the bed, and one of the nurses like football shoves Koby out of the way. And I have nurses and doctors and everyone literally screaming in my face, like, we need to get this baby out. You need to push. You need to push. And I'm just kind of like, what is going on? I'm like laying back. Right before this had happened, the baby looked at me and she's like, oh, this could be your last push. And then your baby, you'll be holding your little girl. And so we went from that to, we need to get this baby out now. And I still had no idea what really was going on. I heard her say, like I said, her shoulder was stuck, but I don't know it. This was our first baby, so we'd have no idea what any of this meant. So doctors, nurses, everyone in the room, it's just filled. And finally, after about 3.5 minutes, they were able to get her out. I'm not going to share details of how, but they were able to get her out. They pull her out, and she was just purple, like dark. And because I saw a glimpse of her, and she was not crying. She was not breathing.
Well, she wasn't alive.
She wasn't alive. So what had happened is her shoulder got stuck and her head was already kind of out. So she was losing oxygen. She lost oxygen for about 3.5 minutes. And she was not alive when she came out. So I'm just praying. I remember still not knowing what fully had happened, but I know that she's out and she's not crying. And you always hear, like, you want to hear your baby cry. That's like the first thing they try to get the baby to do is cry. And so I'm not hearing her cry. And I just remember looking up, like I'm laying down, just looking up at the Lord and just being like, we lost our first baby. Like, you took our first baby to heaven. Please don't take this one. And I remember saying that, like, in my head, I was just like, please don't take this baby. I don't know what's going on, but Lord, please don't take her. Please, Lord. And I just prayed that. I still had no idea what had happened, but, and then like I think 30 seconds later, I'd heard her cry, like the tiniest cry. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay. So there was a little bit of relief there of like, okay, she's at least alive. She's breathing.
That 30 seconds felt like an eternity, though.
Oh my gosh. It might have even been longer than that of her not crying.
Yeah.
But before we go into kind of the aftermath of that, do you want to share how you were feeling in that moment, or like your perspective? Because you have a completely different, obviously, perspective than me.
Yeah, I didn't read any of the labor and delivery books, so I had no idea what to expect for labor and delivery. And then it was early morning of the 19th, that's Lane's birthday, and we're just like, it's like good. We're playing worship music, like everything, the mood felt good up until the very last push, like you said. And I just remember it's like
you got shoved. I just remember you got
it's like slow motion. So
way.
I'm standing by Sarah's head, like being a supportive husband. You know, I'm doing all the things, you know, holding her hand, rubbing her head, all the stuff, trying to keep her calm and just be, you know, supporting. And in that moment, the nurse's name was Amy. Shout out Amy. We've seen her too since with our boys being born. Whatever. I have at least 100 pounds on her and definitely 7 inches in height. And she moved me like it was nothing. And then I just remember being pushed out of the way. And then the room fills with doctors, like Grey's Anatomy, Code Red, Code Blue, whatever it is.
And my mom's in the room too. I remember looking over and I saw my mom like just praying in tongues. I knew something was, I knew it was so bad when it's so bad when your mom is just like praying in tongues in the room. Like just, sorry, I know you're talking.
No, you're okay. Yeah, it was a very sudden and quick, just like snap of your fingers. The mood had changed completely to like,
you're going to have your baby. Next push, you might have your baby in your arms too.
Yeah, expecting her to go right to your chest, all that stuff. And then it's like, wait a second. No, like you just like all of your joy drops. And
you just don't know. Like we had no idea what really was happening. We were both so confused of just like.
Yeah, and like I said, I didn't read the book, so I don't know what color they're supposed to come out, if they're supposed to cry right away. Like I still hear him like just confused.
But and you knew something was wrong.
You could feel the room is heavy. Yeah, these guys are all doing what they signed up to do. It's like an intense moment.
And the doctor.
High adrenaline.
Like yelling in my face, kind of like, you gotta get this baby out.
It was intense. Lack of a deep explanation. It was intense. And I just remember that 30 seconds to a 60 seconds, minute, whatever, of just like waiting in anticipation as like doctors and nurses that were free were like consoling Sarah, telling her that everything's okay, you did nothing wrong, and saying that to me as well, as I'm like just like shaken up. I don't know. And then we hear that little cry from across the room. The nurses then come over to me because at this point I didn't go over there. I didn't get in their way, anything like that. They come over to me and they're like, do you want to come see her? Like, she's doing good. She's contained. And yeah.
Wow. I don't know why I'm tearing up. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then again, that's kind of the first year of our marriage was just battling grief and then fear. And now in this moment when you're like, the fear subsided, you're just joyous. And then we're just tested again with like.
Yeah, with her birth just being.
Because even after she was like brought back to life, like luckily they had the little like cup breather on her, a little oxygen mask for little babies.
Yeah.
They got her breathing and stabilized. And then they're like, Dad, you got to go to the NICU with her. And I'm like, okay. And I just have to leave Sarah, who's like,
was so
it didn't look
up.
like a very exciting, happy, joyous room. Like I'm supposed to just leave my wife. Because with Lainey, with the way they have to get the baby out when they get stuck, there's, you could break limbs. There could be things like that. So they had to make sure that she was intact and good. And then for me, my perspective of it is I am like, okay. I told Amy, same nurse, I'm like, Amy, you make sure she's good.
Yeah.
Like if I have to leave her, I'm putting you in responsibility of her.
Yeah.
And she did. And she hugged me, thankfully. Amy just like consoled me and then was like, we got her. Go take care of your baby. So I went down to the NICU.
You went down to the NICU and my mom stayed up with me. And we don't know if she's okay. We don't know what damage had been done. We don't know really anything at this point. And of course, I was just laying there. You're supposed to have the baby on your chest. You're supposed to be in like newborn bubble and be meeting your baby. Yet I was just by myself with my mom. And you were downstairs. And I just was so wrecked. Like it was so traumatizing.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say that word. That's a very dramatic word, but truly like going through that was awful. But I guess we'll go into like the aftermath of that. So she kept improving in the NICU. I was improving. I'm not going to go into details of certain things, but my health was getting better, like up in the room. I was recovering kind of good, and they were finally able to bring her up to me, and she was doing great, like kept improving. We were just praying, Lord, like, please have there be no damage, no nerve damage, no brain damage, because she lost oxygen for 3.5 minutes. So truly, we had no idea if she was even going to be able to do anything. I'm pretty sure they tried to break her shoulder to get her to come out. So we didn't know if she was going to have a broken bone as a newborn. We just had no idea. But we were just prayed, and she kept improving, and she came out, got a lot of tests done, brain tests and all that, x-rays, and she was great. Like, she just passed every test, and she is a walking miracle. There's no doubt about it that God saved her life.
Yeah, like reminiscing and talking about it right now. Like, we haven't had this conversation in a while, talking about like just how
I know I started crying because
it
was so scary. Like, but I look back and I go back to the prayer that I prayed over her. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna start crying. Lord, show me your faithfulness through our daughter. And I look back, and even her birth, him showing us how faithful he is. I just, by making her okay, like, and giving us our miracle, like literally a miracle, because she should have had some brain damage. She should have had a broken bone with everything that had happened and how long she was stuck. She should not be here. Like, by the world standard, she should not be here. But by God's standard, he saved her life. And I will forever, I hope she listens to this one day and she knows that she is a miracle. And so, man.
And you've been giving dad anxiety since day one, because, oh my goodness.
You're like talking to her?
I'm lightening it up. Yeah, I'm talking to Lainey now, for if she's listening to this in 10 years. You have stressed me out since the beginning, girl, and I love you. And it's awesome. But man, yeah. And for the NICU perspective, I'm just down there hanging out with her, and I'm just seeing all the like, that's when the joy started for me, as I recognized she was good. But
I was still like, I had no idea.
You were upstairs without a single clue. I'm sending you photos of her all monitored, and you know, she's got all the things and stuck to her chest.
Oh, like, my gosh, tell them about the heart thing that she had pulled off.
Oh yeah. Oh, this is the thing, Lainey, you're giving me stress, girl, from day one.
Yeah, tell them that, because that's...
So I'm in the NICU. I'm in the downstairs NICU. I'm just sitting there, just hanging out. And I mean, this sounds like I wasn't paying attention to her, but I was just chilling. Like, I was just sitting there catching my breath after what all had happened, just trying to put everything together. And Lainey is improving. Like, her color's coming back in all of her limbs and stuff. So she's looking great. Like,
yeah.
All the nurses down there were surprisingly happy to be NICU nurses. Mm-hmm. Like, they were having a good time. And out of nowhere, Lainey's over here, no nurse in the room. They were out checking other babies, whatever. You just hear a flat line.
And it was just you and her in the room.
It was just me and Lainey. And I go look at her, and she's holding one of the, like, she had pulled it off of her chest.
And you had thought she literally passed away.
Well, in that split second, yes. Like, when I'm like, I don't think I was on my phone, but I was just over in the corner, just like,
yeah, that
breathing again.
That would be really scary.
And I get up, I stand up, and I'm like, nurse, what did she do? Like, what did she push?
Yeah, that's... Oh
so yeah, Lainey, you've been giving me anxiety your whole life. That's what... I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh. She's just... Yeah, she's that girl. Wow. But so that's a huge miracle.
Yeah, she's a walking miracle. If you guys don't already know that, you now know.
Yep, she is.
And then
and then now let's, I guess...
she's already the boss of our house.
We're already at 40 minutes, so we should probably go into... So yeah, into, I guess, our sons, but kind of shorten it.
Yeah, I mean, they're sparking us because they are like Lainey's birth in comparison to them is so night and day different.
Well, yeah. So that happens with Lainey. The recovery process, I could go into all that, but I might make actually I am. We're gonna do a different episode on postpartum
For the boys.
Postpartum with Lainey, and just like, because postpartum in itself is a huge subject, and it's something that I kind of want to spend more time talking about. So I'm not going to go into a lot of that right now, but so yeah, Lainey's our miracle. We were like so happy to be parents of this little girl, and 7 months later, we get pregnant with our son Keegan. 7 months later, you guys. I was still in postpartum, not fully recovered. Excuse me. So because of that, because of Lainey's birth, I opted to do C-section with him. Have Keegan. 7 months later, we get pregnant with our son Kason. And I have a C-section with him, and he's actually 9 months old in 10 days. So, yeah, we are in parenting central right now. We have God has been so faithful to us, thinking of where we started with losing our baby at 12 weeks old to now. He's given us 3 beautiful blessings back to back to back. God's promises are just yes and amen, and I am just so happy with our life. And do you have any encouraging words you want to share with anyone?
Yeah, so I would say
of like why we're even talking about all this, or our testimony.
Well, we want a listener to know us well and know that, we're not just some 20-somethings on the internet trying to give advice. Like, we've been through it, and we didn't even really give every single detail, and we covered a lot.
No, there was a lot of stuff we could have said or gone into, but there's just not a lot of time.
Yeah, and minimizing it to 50 minutes or 45 minutes of talking is difficult to do, but I think we did a great job today. If there's encouragement for a listener who's going into pregnancy or labor, because thinking for like the women here, we're explaining a lot of traumatic, heavy stuff. I don't think that should ever instill fear in somebody listening to these stories.
No, it's very rare what happened to us.
Yeah, what happened to Lainey is like less than 1% of labor's deliveries. So that in itself, she is, one of a kind. And then miscarriage, I don't think any pregnancy should be centered on fear of miscarriage, and just know that if that is part of your testimony, if you suffer grief, or any kind of, hiccup along the road of becoming parents, just know that God's plan is way bigger than any feelings that you have in that moment. Like, I don't feel any of the grief because God and Jesus have just overflown with love. Like, I have a fountain of living water in my chest because Jesus is just always assuring me that he's got a plan and purpose that's so much greater than anything that I could come up with. And no matter what hiccups are along the road, he's with us through all of it. And when we were weeping, he was weeping with us. Mm-hmm. When we were mourning, he was mourning with us.
Yeah.
I would just say that it's like you should never go into anything with fear of the unknown, because Jesus has got you covered on that. He's got your 6. That's a military term. He's got your 6.
No, I totally agree. I think everything we went through was very hard, and none of it was easy. And I'm glad we went through all that together, because I think it, at the end of the day, brought us closer to each other. And most importantly, it brought us closer to God and gave us a new dependency on him that we would have not had if we wouldn't have walked through those situations. So my encouragement would just be, I think the reason we're even sharing this is to like show people how faithful God is, and that his timing for everything, his plan is so perfect. And just cling on to God during the hard situations. And like you said, he has your back and he wants to walk through every situation with you. And man, yeah, I just think God is so good. Jesus showed us so much of his mercy and love through all that.
Yeah, and on the other side of all that grief, we can sit here today and still tell you God is still good and his plan is still good for you. There is no doubt in my mind that every hard thing we went through was for a purpose.
Yeah, because I've even heard people say, you know, why would God, my first thought when we went through our miscarriage and all this was like, God, why would you do this? And I've now looked back and I'm like, God did not cause this miscarriage. God does not cause these things to happen in this world. The death, the evil, but we live in a fallen world and these things happen. And as hard as it is, God is right there with us. Yeah. So.
Yeah, his plan is perfect. There's no need to be fearful. God's got you. The boy, and then going back into our testimony a little bit, it's like when we had the boys, both of those experiences were magical. Like there wasn't fear. We knew what we were walking into. And we also knew, I mean, this was kind of my perspective on it. This is my optimistic brain. It's like, it couldn't go any worse than the first one did. So these two were lighter. You know?
Yeah, from basically losing our daughter. How much?
As close to losing her. I mean, we obviously didn't.
Yeah.
She wasn't stillborn in that way.
Well, she was at first, but.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I hear what you're saying.
That's all I'm saying is just, God is good, and that there's always redemption in every story, every hiccup, every fear. I mean, it's given us a reason to trust him. If life was always easy, you'd have no reason to have faith in God. So I'm thankful now today in hindsight for the pain that we went through, because now we've gotten a payment out of it. I know Philip Anthony Mitchell has done a sermon on that of like, every time you have pain, there's a payment that you can receive from it. It's your decision on whether or not you take it and you use it for good. And I believe that that's what God intends for when we go through pain.
Yeah.
Is you need to take it and use it for a benefit. There is a payment on the other side of it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that's us. We've been together for now 10 years.
Yeah.
Next month will be 10 years together.
Mm-hmm. A lot of different seasons together. Dating, marriage, grief, parenting. We're just growing up together. But I love you so much, and I wouldn't want to do this life with anybody else.
I love you so much.
And I'm so blessed that we even get the opportunity to share our story and bring people on eventually to share their stories and just talk about Jesus and how good he is and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Should we wrap things up here? Are we thinking we covered everything?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot more to cover, but
there's
for this, our first episode, I think this is good just to share about our testimony a little bit.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And there's a whole laundry list of things else that we've got to talk about. So we're excited to have those conversations. If you're still here with us, thank you for joining us. This episode was a little bit heavier, bringing up the the trials that we went through early on in our marriage and our relationship together, and we're just, if there's a highlight in all of this is that there's hope on the other side of any pain, and that Jesus is just the rock that you could stand on. He's the cornerstone. He's holding it all together for you. And if you just trust him, we can attest he is good and he will take care of you.
Yeah, I don't see how people go through these things without Jesus.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't imagine. He was, again, my rock, our rock that we clung on to this whole time. So I don't see how it's even possible to get through things without hope, the hope of heaven, the hope of Jesus. So yeah, I hope this blesses someone today. I pray that you just have a great morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you're listening to this. So yeah, we'll stay tuned for next week. And
yep, we'll have an episode dropping next week. Thank you so much for joining us. If you're still with us, like, subscribe, follow, all the stuff.
Tell your friends about us.
Tell your friends.
At the altar.
At the altar. And the idea behind all of this is that, your life is just at the feet of Jesus. You want to be leading people to the altar. And we're going to have a lot of cool conversations in the future, whether it's us talking in a just us conversation or we'll have guests on. We're excited for those. And we just hope you join us for that journey. So yeah.
And we're all just learning and growing together because nobody's perfect. So let's just all do this together.
Cool.
Yeah.
Until next time.
Bye.